Tim's such a gentleman. He's insisted that I walk out first. And
it's one of the few things we can still do and control. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. Thank you. And forgive my footwear. I wish I were as fashionable as Anne.
Yes, I have 3 backup pairs in the back. Tim, I'm so glad to be here. I want to remind you that we had lunch in December, and I don't know if it made such an impression on you as it did on me, but when you were sitting at lunch, we were at Michael's with Tim Gunn, everyone comes up and says, I mean, even our friend we were eating with said, Tim, I know you said you don't like cargo pants, but I think these ones work, right? Or someone else came up and I even felt like saying, Tim, you know, actually the shirt I wanted to wear was at the dry cleaners, but this one works, right? So what is it like being Tim Gunn? You're like a walking fashion confessional in the streets of New York where everyone is very image conscious. I mean, do you get checked in with 6, 7, 8 times an hour?
Well, I mean, on the one hand, I find it flattering that people ask. On the other hand, you know that they want validation. So I'm disinclined to reply with a question of my own, which is, why did you walk out of your apartment wearing that? Though I have to say, I have a very Socratic approach to any sort of fashion critique. I believe that it's important to ask questions and receive a context. Because I'm always saying that person in the back or maybe even the front of the room who looks like a circus clown, well, if you ask a few questions, maybe they are a circus clown.
Any circus clowns here?
You need to know.
13 seasons of Project Runway.
Yes.
My God. 10 years, I think?
10 years.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I was just telling you backstage that standing behind a black curtain on a masking tape mark next to Tim Gunn actually feels soothing and familiar because I've had the honor of appearing with him on the show twice. But how has the show changed over 13 seasons?
Well, I mean, at the core of the show, we have a very profound commonality, and that is we have great designers making work. How good the work is always remains to be seen. And I have to say, 13 seasons, season 13, this past season was my very favorite, hands down.
Why is that?
Well, because the best work in the history of the show was created, and I will add, and the worst work in the history of the show. They were a group of very zealous risk takers, and they would throw the dice, and I'll make it analogous to bowling. It was either a strike or a gutter ball. There was very little in between. But I have a huge amount of respect for that. I love risk-taking.
So this was a question I was going to ask you a little bit later, but risk, I think, in fashion is really interesting because you do a lot of red carpet commentary. People get criticized, first of all, no matter what they wear, right, on the red carpet.
It's a terrible place to be. I don't envy anyone on the red carpet.
And I want to ask you your predictions in a little while, but I want to ask about risk in fashion because, you know, people say to us editors all the time, you're always saying we need to wear florals and color and this and that, and we all know that the only colors that work are black, navy blue, tan, and some shades of white. So aside from the Oscar red carpet, how do women like me or women in the audience take risks in fashion? They don't have to fear the ridicule of the red carpet, but I think this holds a lot of people back.
Well, I just want to put a bracket around the red carpet and say that as far as I'm concerned, it's not the real world. It's a bit like a wedding. And red carpet clothes are generally not the clothes that we're going to be wearing to navigate the real world. But what I find to be so hugely important when it comes to fashion and to any sort of risk is you need to know who you are and you need to know how you want to project yourself. Our clothes, well, our grooming, our accessories, everything about us is a form of semiotics, which means that we send a message to the world about how ideally we want the world to perceive us. And that's a big responsibility, and it's so important to know what you want that message to be. But going back to red carpet for a moment, there was a moment a number of seasons ago. Tilda Swinton wore a Lanvin black cocoon dress.
Yes, I remember.
And Stacey in London and I had a big brawl on the Today Show the day after about it.
Stacey, I love a brawl.
I love a brawl too, especially when you have your
Let's
convictions.
have a brawl, Tim.
But Stacey said to me, well, we would never have a brawl. But Stacey said to me, I can't believe you would stand in support of that black plastic garbage bag. And I said, wait a minute, it's the semiotics of clothes. Tilda Swinton is not a conventional person. She's not a classicist. And if you didn't know who she was, that dress told you everything that you need to know. She's a bohemian. She marches to the beat of a different drummer. And she's her own person. I loved it. But I put it on Sally Field? Of course not.
I think that's a great way of understanding the red carpet. I wonder about the women who are getting dressed every day. You are kind of our fashion shrink at Mary Claire. You have a much beloved column where readers write in questions about their common wardrobe conundrums. What are some of the most common questions or problems you get asked about?
Well, it's generally a broad question. What should I wear? And I'm not in a position to I'm not a fashion dictator. I never make anyone into my dress-up doll. I am always curious to go into a woman's closet and ask her, okay, what are the soul stirrers here? What are the things you can't live without? What are the items that only come out occasionally? And what are the items that you never wear at all? And let's talk about the reasons why. And exhume everything, put some things in a giveaway pile, some things, if they're not in good shape, in a throwaway pile, but really focus on the soul stirrers. And what is it?
You're saying soul stirrer, right? I can't.
Something that just plucks at your heartstrings and that you feel great wearing and love to wear.
And you really, something that you love to wear makes you feel, it gives you 100% more confidence as you go out into the day.
Absolutely, because I can look at someone, women I've helped with makeovers, and we're in a department store, and she's in the dressing room, and she comes out, and I think, good heavens, you look absolutely rapturous. But her posture, her carriage, her bearing says something else, and I look at her and say, take it off. It's not working for you.
So interesting and very helpful. I love the idea of thinking about who you really are. We have an interview in the magazine with Kerry Washington coming up, and she talks about the red carpet.
And she's great on the red carpet.
Well, she said something really interesting, which is that she wasn't always great at the red carpet, and I can't remember a time that she wasn't, but she said, I saw other women like me getting roles, and they were better on the red carpet.
Oh.
So I'm really paraphrasing, but she talked about how she really went and studied the red carpet and figured out how to have a moment of sort of say something right there about who she is and her relationship to fashion. And it was really a concerted effort, which I thought was really interesting.
And she discovered this by looking at red carpet photographs?
I think it was more of she didn't name the actress, but seeing someone who'd gotten a role that she wanted who was...
interesting.
And I'm scooping my own magazine, so stay tuned for a future issue of Kerry Washington. But I want to know if there are common mistakes that you can...
There's one unilateral mistake.
Can't wait.
People who try too hard. And you can tell, when you look at someone, you say it's too much, it's too much. I'm always saying, trust your viscera. It doesn't lie to you. It sends a profound message. But it's those individuals who just have... Well, they're trying too hard.
Yeah, but even the ones who don't look like they're trying too hard have tried quite hard.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Look at someone like Helen Mirren. Kate Blanchett. I love more mature women on the red carpet, to be perfectly honest, because...
Well, they know who they are.
Well, they know who they are, exactly. Yeah. And that, of course they tried. It wasn't that they just rolled out of bed and looked great. But I asked Kate Blanchett once at the Oscars, how is it that you are such a risk taker and yet you always do look great? I've never seen you fail. And she said, I only listen to my own voice. She said, I have tons of people around me who tell me what I should do, tell me what I should wear, are throwing clothes at me, and if it doesn't hit me in an emotional place that is a good place, she said, forget it. So I listened to my own voice, and I thought, bravo, everyone should.
So wise, Tim. I've learned so much from you. And I say
and
that partly
versa.
because it's true, but partly because you have a book, and this is an advanced copy of it, so there's a great picture of Tim, I hope you can see, coming out about teaching. It's called Tim Gunn, the Natty Professor. And I want to talk to you about teaching. You have a great acronym that I want to ask you about later. But I first want to hear, you talk in your first book about being so nervous your first day before teaching, how many years ago? Many, many years ago. That you actually...
Many years ago.
Maybe you can tell the story. I don't quite have the words.
I was invited to teach and was thrilled about it. And this was for the fall semester at an art and design school. And I had assistant taught the summer before with an old, incredible teacher and mentor of mine, and loved the entire experience. I loved it. So when that teacher and mentor, her name was Rona Slade, when she came to me and asked whether I would teach three-dimensional design that semester, well, I didn't hesitate, of course. But suddenly, it struck me as I was walking into my first class, I'm a lone agent. I'm here, it's just me, it's these 20 faces that I've never seen before, and my knees were shaking so badly that I had to brace myself against one of the classroom walls, one of the studio walls,
Oh my God.
because otherwise I was going to topple over. And actually, this was about 3 minutes after throwing up in the school's parking lot.
So this is an improvement.
Well, I went through the same routine every day that week. And Friday afternoon, I went to Rona and I told her what was happening. And I was speaking to her in her role to me as a mentor. And she said to me in her very crisp Welsh accent, she said, this is either going to kill you or cure you. And I'm counting on the latter. Good day. Gee, where's the bandage rolling and the hot cup of tea? But cure me it did. But I have to tell you, I still get nervous. I get nervous walking into a new class. I'm a little nervous here. I get nervous with every new group of Project Runway designers, but I think it's
You're
good.
such a mentor to them, and as I said, you exude such calm and paternal instincts
that's sincere.
in the workroom and on the stage.
Well, thank you. It's sincere. I can't.
What's the secret to being a great teacher?
Well, my book is broken down into chapters using TEACH as an acronym. And
I wrote it down.
Thankfully I have it memorized. T is for truth-telling, E is for empathy, A is for asking, C is for cheerleading, and H is for hoping for the best, and that's all about letting it go. So
let's talk about the relationship between truth-telling and cheerleading. So you've got to give it to them straight.
Well, you have to give it to them straight, yes. And at the same time, it's you can do it. It's make it work. And I began using the phrase "make it work" when I was in my own classes at Parsons, and it's even more appropriate on Project Runway because we can't go back to mood. We're not extending the time. Your model isn't going to change.
You're on TV.
You're on TV. Actually, I often forget about that aspect. But the challenge isn't going to change, and the judging criteria are what they are. So it really is make it work time.
And does everyone rise to the challenge with the right teacher or mentor in you?
Oh, I don't take responsibility for that. You can't, because otherwise you'll beat yourself up, and then you think, well, their success is my success. It's not. Just as their failure is my failure, well, I hope it's not. And I have to say, I've been through a huge amount of trial and error. I mean, 29 years in a classroom, you learn what doesn't work, you learn, hopefully, what does, and those variables can change with each class because the chemistry is different.
Yes. You've said to me every season of Project Runway that you think this is the best crop of designers. I don't know if you still think that's true in retrospect on 13, but that chemistry, that change of chemistry really adds to the mix of the success of the show.
It does, but I will also add on the topic of Project Runway predictions or statements, I never, ever can tell, even through the first 3 or 4 challenges, who's going to be on the top. I honestly can't. It's anyone's game. And owing to just the wear and tear of the emotional fatigue, the physical fatigue, the intellectual fatigue, and good heavens, the creative fatigue. I mean, you don't know when someone's just going to drop to their knees. And that's a tough one. So that's part of the cheerleader in me. And it's also part of the truth teller, because the worst thing for me in the show is to have a designer go out onto the runway with their work, have the judges eviscerate them over a particular issue, and it's something that I thought, oh, maybe I really should have talked to them about that. Just get it out.
Yes.
And I say to the designers with frequency, this is my point of view, this is what I see, I'm not a judge, and that's why I'm here in the workroom with you, because otherwise anything I say could be a self-fulfilled prophecy. I'm not a judge, and you have to accept responsibility for your own decision-making. I'm not standing there with the work, it doesn't belong to me. So synthesize this, project forward, think about what you can do in the last 2 remaining hours. I mean, that's the whole other aspect of this, that the time constraint is so severe. And accept responsibility for your actions. And I have to tell you one other thing, though, is it involves one of your colleagues, Nina Garcia, and Heidi Klum,
Who's
and
watching?
Zach Posen, and our guest judge. But I love this fairly new beat where I get to present the models wearing the top 3 and the bottom 3 designs.
Yeah, that's
I
a great addition
get
to the
present
show.
them to
I
the
love that.
judges. It's my moment before them, and I've never had one before, and I had avoided them at all costs before also. But whenever the judges start getting a little snooty and prissy about the work, I'm there to remind them 10 hours. 10 hours
amazing.
to
It's amazing what they
conceive, to shop, to drape, draft, to cut, sew, to fit.
And sometimes they're working with like bottle caps, right?
I
Or coins
know.
from Coney Island. I mean, it's amazing.
I mean, you do it.
Yeah. Now, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Tim, let's talk about fashion for a second. I'm curious what you think about this whole spring boho 70s floral trend we have coming up that we and a lot of other magazines are very excited about. Now, should I be running out to get my bell bottoms?
No, Anne, please don't. Please don't.
It was really pronounced. I mean, all those designers last season, for spring, did a lot of 70s.
I mean, I'll be blunt. I'm not a fan.
Please do.
Things look great on fashion models. They always do.
Yes.
When we talk about real women, meaning most women, everyone just has to be so careful. I mean, ladies, whatever it is, try it on and look at yourself critically and objectively. I just don't believe in chasing trends. I mean, it's the fashion pendulum. I mean, it's happening to menswear now. I mean, I love the slimmer fitting suits. Well, everything's going to be, it's getting bigger and baggier.
Yes.
But men
and
look
those blousey. There were like men in blouses at Men's Week, I thought.
I mean, if
wow.
it suits you and your lifestyle and how you want to present yourself to the world, great. Happy shopping.
Yeah.
But most of us have to be just mindful of what we look best in. And with trends, I mean, of course, I have great respect for them, and they'll work for some people, but they won't work for everyone.
So the thing about Project Runway and shows like it, and the fact that designers are now, great designers or high fashion designers are now collaborating with H&M and Target and JCPenney and many other big box stores, is that really fashion now is for everyone. It has, there's not a corner of America probably that there are a few, but fashion has really penetrated the real world, right?
Absolutely.
Is this confusing for someone who, for me sometimes it's still confusing, but what do you think that's done for the average American who wants to participate in the fashion conversation?
Well, I began using this term when I was at Parsons. I would talk gleefully about the democratization of design. It's not just for the rich, it's not just for the elite, it's not just for the 1%, it's really there for everyone. And to be able to find it at Bergdorf Goodman or The Gap, I think is sensational. Sensational. I'm all in favor of it. I have to say, though, I have to add, consumers are very savvy, they're very smart, they're very exposed to a huge amount of information, and what I'm most curious about is what is the consumer choosing when they are shopping, because they're being curators, and I'm always curious to know what are the things that blow off the shelves and the racks, and what are the things that languish.
And so speaking of curating, if you were going to curate, say, my closet, and these are the 5 things you always have to have in your closet, do you have a rule like that? Do you have
I do.
prescription?
I mean, it's a broad category, and what the particular items are completely up to you. But I would say...
No, I'm writing this down. I need store numbers and...
Well, every woman needs a basic black dress, and what form it takes is up to you and your lifestyle. Every man and woman needs a blazer, a dark wash pair of jeans, no fading, no rips and tears. And I say that because you can wear a dark wash pair of jeans out to dinner, to cocktails.
To some offices.
Yes, to some offices. You just have to dress it up. Women need a day dress. They need a good skirt. They need a good top. And everyone needs a trench coat. And I say that because you can wear it to the grocery store, you can wear it to the opera.
I always feel like Inspector Gadget wearing a trench coat. Really?
Well, but rid your mind of what we think of when we think of the classic khaki, epaulette, and button-studded trench coat. They're wonderful. I saw a great woman today in a red vinyl trench. She looks smashing out there on those cold New York streets.
Yeah.
There are so many different textile options and color options, and blind, unlined, it just gives you a great deal of versatility. But it's a classic item.
Okay, and what are some mistakes that people make? Biggest mistakes?
Well, the biggest mistake people make is fit. Things that are simply too big or too small. But when it comes to items of apparel, you already know this because you cited it earlier. I mean, the cargo capri pant? Why? I mean, every woman I know and most men want to look as long and lean as possible. And a cargo capri pant makes you look shorter and wider.
Well, it's two different concepts, right?
Well,
There's the cargo pant and the capri pant. So matching them together, making that one
Yeah,
item.
so you have a capri that has big pockets on the side.
Yeah.
But I do have a theory about the capri pant, and it goes back to, quite frankly, a bit of fashion laziness. I believe its popularity is the following. With a capri pant, you only have to be concerned with one size, the waist. And wherever the leg falls, it falls. And I will say, women have it so much tougher than men, and I say this every day. With a full-length pant, you need to be concerned with...
You have no idea, Tim. No,
no, I do have something of an idea. But with a full-length pant, you need to be concerned with what shoe are you going to wear with that.
Or how long, or is it,
and what height is the heel? Because one pant length does not service all of your footwear by any means. It's difficult.
No,
but
we
that
need
doesn't
many
mean...
more shoes.
What's that?
We need many, many more shoes for all of our pants. So we have this thing at Mary Claire that we do at the back of the magazine, which I've never done with you. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but we do, because now that I've gotten my wardrobe staples, I'm making a mental list, like, okay, throw those capri pants out, buy a trench coat. It's called 20 Questions, and it's really sort of free association. Don't worry, you're the shrink. But we asked just a number of questions. I thought one of them was really great for you, but I'll do two, and then I think maybe we'll open it up to questions.
Oh, great.
I don't know who's in charge of when we do that. Maybe it's me. So a couple of serious ones, and then we'll get to some fun ones. What's the best advice you've ever received?
It was, I'll cite it specifically. It was from Diane von Furstenberg. It was a moment in crisis having to do with my first book, and she said to me, never lose your voice as an educator.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I've never forgotten it.
I love that. It's kind of like your don't lose yourself on the red carpet. I mean, I love that, being true to yourself. How did you make your first $1?
Oh my God. I made it and it was taken away from me. I'll tell you, I was
Gambling?
No. It was a summer job. I was working in the art department at a store a department store in Washington, D.C., now defunct. It was the Heck Company. I did 4 days of training. I was heartily congratulated at the end of the training about how no one has gotten 100%, and you did. My first day was a Saturday. The department manager called in sick, and the other worker just didn't show up, so I was alone, and it was a sale day.
Oh my God.
And this is in the olden days. This is when people used to pay with checks, and I was putting in check numbers as cash received, and it would say that I needed to give this person $7 million in change. And I created such a royal hot mess in that place that the following day, when I arrived and they told me that they no longer needed my services, I was so hugely relieved. I was doing the happy dance. It was a mistake.
Did they pay you for the day?
They did, and I will tell you, I took the check back. I didn't cash it.
Oh my God, Tim.
I thought I can't. I thought I owe them money. And I owe some of these customers millions of dollars.
So that really, you are a prince, and I don't know that even applies to you. But
No one's ever heard that story, by the way.
I love it. Write it down. What are your vices?
What are my vices?
Vices, yes. Do you do anything?
Oh, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, which is a nice vice to have. Being alone, if that can be considered a vice, I really enjoy it. Dumb television, for the most part, things that don't require a lot of brain power.
Any show you'd like to name?
Oh, well, it's not such a dumb show. I love The Big Bang Theory. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
what nerd wouldn't want to see other nerds?
What?
And I love HGTV.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
I love it. European house hunters or American?
Am I?
Do you like the European house? I'm talking about HGTV still. Do you like the European house hunters or the American house hunters?
Oh, you mean House Hunters International?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I prefer that
Okay.
because it's more exotic. I've seen Cleveland before.
I think it's really. What item in your closet do you wear the most?
My belt,
Black or brown?
the brown belt.
Okay.
I used to only wear black when I was chair of the fashion program at Parsons. That was my uniform day in and day out. I haven't worn all black in years.
Oh, that's brilliant. I wish I could say the same thing.
Well,
You guys wearing all black
I
this
found it to
morning.
be liberating, and I like all this pattern mixing. It's fun.
Well, you look fantastic.
Oh, Anne,
Thank you so
please.
much for chatting with me. I'd love to open it up to questions from the floor if anyone has any, because I've got plenty more. Microphone? We have a microphone. Do we have any questions?
Oh, good.
Hello.
Hi.
As you probably know, we're sort of living in the selfie culture. I think everyday consumers to Heidi Klum are posting selfies. Do you feel like that has influenced the fashion industry?
Anne, what do you think?
Absolutely.
Can you talk about it?
Nice Socratic method there, Tim. I think people are more aware of what they're wearing and how they look and how they'd like to filter it for their own self-branding. I think it's kind of fun. I love seeing other people's selfies. I think Instagram has really changed the fashion world in many, many ways. I mean, we could have a whole other session about that. People, showing instant information about the fashion shows, celebrities Instagramming themselves. I thought Kim Kardashian's Super Bowl ad was genius.
Body shudder. Oh. Never mind.
Anything you'd
Sorry.
like to share, Tim, on this question?
No, the Kardashians just threw me completely off.
I'm sorry.
They have a way of
Right.
doing
This is
that.
the man
with
whose
me.
vice is the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I mean, how do I dare?
No, I have to tell you, I was at the Met on Saturday. People were walking around with those selfie sticks. And I wanted
you're
to say,
kidding.
you're standing next to priceless paintings. Put that stick away. But actually, a guard intervened and did tell them.
Phew.
Yeah.
We have another
Don't
question
blame
over
me,
here?
blame my selfie stick.
Hi. I was
Hi.
wondering how you see the fashion industry getting more connected, talking about things like Apple Pay, tracking your health, as well as finding the perfect outfit while you're in store, etc.
What an interesting and provocative question.
And you already threw the last one back at me, so this one's on you, Tim.
Well, I really believe all aspects of our lives are going to be converging more and more and more, and I anticipate that eventually there will be a fairly seamless, we'll have a fairly seamless journey, and we won't be putting things in boxes. And it's exciting, I think, to project forward and to contemplate that. It's a very good question. And who knows, it may happen even faster than we think.
Someone over here?
Okay, so I wanted to know your thoughts on different mediums for fashion design, because there are so many different ways that you can do it right now, like paper, watercolor, like they have tablets like they use on Project Runway. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, they only make us use the tablets on Project Runway if we have a computer sponsor. And last season we didn't, and everyone was singing hallelujah. Can I be really honest about the tablet on Runway? We make the designers use it because it's not their tendency to want to use it. And it's almost as though there's a bit of an obstacle between you and your concept, and they struggle with it. I don't want to sound like a Luddite. I do a huge amount of creative work on the computer, and that's visual, but it needs to come forward more and become more advanced. I mean, when I project forward, I actually think eventually we're going to be designing on a computer, and what will appear is a hologram. We'll be able to look at it three-dimensionally, and perhaps we'll even be able to feel it, and it will inform the pattern drafting process and fit. So it's exciting to project forward. It's a good
Maybe
question.
we'll be able to order our clothes and then just print them.
Very, very possibly. I mean, I envision the day. Well, it's here already, to a degree, where we'll each be our own designer, or at least we'll be our own stylist. We'll be picking and choosing silhouettes and companion pieces and accessories and putting it all together.
I don't have time for that, Tim. I like that the designers are out there doing it. I get to go pick. I have a question over here.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
I'm hiding back here because I'm wearing capri cargo pants.
Are you? Do you mind just stepping out into the aisle?
No,
I just want to see.
Okay, all right. And I'm short, which is like the rule. I mean, I broke all the rules. Okay, but
But listen.
They're cargo. Yeah, they are cargo.
But at least they're slim. They're slim. Excellent.
okay, they're slim. I know, but all right. Well, so
It's not-
You
this
look
is-
great, Dylan.
But this is the other problem. Okay, so I mean, winter boots.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Well, look
out
who you're
there.
talking to.
I know. I was refreshed to see that. And I'm wondering, is there a solution? I mean, should I be bringing my heels to wear with my capri pants?
Well, I didn't.
Well, you didn't. So is it okay to be like?
I
traipsing
believe in being
around in my-
occasion appropriate, environment appropriate, weather appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean,
I think there are some chic winter boots.
I
like
want you to know
those.
something. I interrogated Anne about her footwear and said, "You didn't actually come here like this, did you?" But
Well, I wore
she's the
hunter
editor in
boots to the
chief of
office.
Mary Claire, so
All right, I'm
I
feeling
like a
good,
chic
ladies and
hunter,
gentlemen.
hunter welly.
what's that?
I like a really chic hunter boot.
Yes.
Wellies.
Yes.
Those are good.
Yeah, but I have to say, given the conditions out there, I wasn't going to wear the shoes that I had actually planned to wear. Thought I need a boot, and I only have one pair, so this is it.
I love them. Are they LL Bean?
Yes.
Yeah. Classics.
Can I, on the topic of LL Bean, can I make one comment?
Yes.
I'm always talking about the difference between fashion and clothes.
Mm-hmm.
We need clothes. We don't need fashion. And when I talk about clothes, I'm always citing the LL Bean catalog. Those items haven't changed in decades. And God bless them. I'm happy that they haven't changed. But fashion, because it happens in a context, is always changing. And that's what we love about it.
I like that. I think there's sometimes, I mean, there are people who are not dressing in high fashion situations who just want a little bit of the look, right? So there's a mix between the clothes and the fashion.
Well, and I mean, with men it's a little different, but I mean, I'm certainly not high fashion, but I'm very aware of how I present myself, and
And you're very well dressed.
well, thank you. I take responsibility for it.
Now we're going to rate all of you. We have a question out here.
You were talking about knowing yourself earlier, and I personally, I feel like I have no fashion sense. So I'm curious if you had advice on as to how to find your fashion sense.
I do. I always say find a fashion mentor, and that should be someone whose look you happen to respond positively to, who ideally corresponds to you in terms of size, shape, and coloring, and to whom you can look up to. And for me, I used to say Cary Grant, and I got tired of people asking who's she. So now I say George Clooney. I look up to him. In fact, I was on the red carpet with him once, and he came up to me. Well, I was on the red carpet. He was on the red carpet. He came up to me and he said, "I've heard you say that I'm your fashion mentor." And I said, "Well, quite frankly, you are, and I'm proud of it." And he said, "Thank you." He said, "May I now straighten your tie?"
Do you have any predictions, by the way, for the red carpet? Anyone you're dying to see on the red carpet besides Kate Blanchett and Helen Mirren?
I enjoy seeing everyone. I mean, among the younger stars, I have to say, for me, Anne Hathaway has really stepped up and out. I mean, I'm very interested in what she's going to wear and how she'll present herself. I'm a curious creature, so I like seeing all of it. The good, the bad, the indifferent. I just have a question for all of you, and it concerns Lena Dunham. Is she winking at us? I mean, I'm really being serious. Is she winking at us saying, I know?
Well, she's very smart, so I wouldn't doubt if she was. But I actually think in life she has great style, really great sense of style. And I think that on the red carpet, she looks like someone who's wearing something that feels like it felt good. Like she said, okay, I'm gonna put this on. This is gonna make me. She always looks like she's in a great mood on the red carpet.
Well, that's because she's busy winking.
I think she's got great style.
She certainly has a style.
Yeah.
But it's another case of, but I wouldn't put Sally Field in it. Or actually, maybe I would.
We have time for one more question.
Okay, one more question.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
My question is for these little girls here.
Hi.
What advice would you give them as they just become of an age to start shopping for their own clothes or picking out their own style, especially since so much is so adult at such a young age?
Oh, I know. I do know. All right, here's my advice. You're growing. Keep a tight budget. I met the mother of a 12-year-old who told me that she only believes in expensive clothes. And I actually said to her, are you kidding me? This child is growing and she's wearing a real chinchilla shrug. I said to myself, shame. But I couldn't get away quickly enough. But you're young, enjoy your youth. You're gonna grow up before you know it, and you're gonna be wearing grown-up clothes. Just enjoy your youth. And dress your age. I say this to 70-year-old women as well.
Yes, they might need to hear it more. Some of them.
Grandma Jezebels.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Well,
I had
Anne,
such a
thank
great
you.
time.
Thank all of you. It's a lot
And
of
here's
fun.
the book.
Thank you.
We all have to buy this amazing book. I've already read it. I've learned a lot.
Thank you, everyone, very much.